We humans have a tendency to complicate things, don't we? Our relationship to food is the perfect example. I mean, we don't see animals in the wild struggling with weight as much as we do. I mean, have you ever heard of snakes on SlimFast or wolves on Weight Watchers? No, of course not, because animals eat in alignment with their physiology and they're tuned into themselves. They know when they're hungry and they know when they've had enough. So I did not grow up healthy and eating really good rainbow colored foods. No, I grew up on the standard American diet full of processed foods, animal products, just the same as most of Americans. But I thought that my issues, my stomach problems, where I'd have to lay on my stomach every time I ate, or being overweight, or having skin issues, I thought that was due to bad genes. But I was completely wrong. I was just uninformed that the food that I was putting in my mouth that I thought I was getting so much pleasure from was really causing me to be ill. So I would like to talk to you about how balancing to our optimal weight is inevitable when we eat plant foods, when we concentrate on filling up our stomach with good, nourishing foods. We can really tune into our body's true needs. So we all know to get to our optimal weight or lose weight, we need to burn more energy than we consume. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to eat less food. So this idea of calorie density has totally changed the way I eat. It's this idea that calorie density refers to the amount of energy in a given weight of food. So let me explain. All of us humans like around 3 to 5 pounds of food a day. But it depends on what those 3 to 5 pounds of food are made up of. So if you're eating 3 to 5 pounds of processed foods and animal products, your body's gonna look completely different because it's more calorie dense than somebody that's eating 3 to 5 pounds of whole food who can be at an optimal weight eating the same amount. So that's why when people are overweight, it's not that they're like super lazy or just, have no, they are not conscious at all about what they're eating. They just don't realize that they're eating more calorie dense foods, so they tend to overeat on them because they want to feel that feeling of fullness. So I'm really inspired by Dr. Barbara Rolls. She's a food scientist that has done tons of studies on this idea of calorie density, or volumetrics as she refers to it. She talks about the 3 mechanisms of satiations that all humans have. We have stretch receptors. We all like to feel full after eating. We have nutrient receptors, and we have calorie receptors. So when we're eating whole plant foods, we can not only eat until we're satisfied in our stomach, but we can also get so much more nourishment, so much more nutrients when we're eating a wide variety of colorful whole foods. So this reminds me of a time when I would eat I would eat processed foods and same old eggs dishes and cheese dishes, but I would never feel like, I would feel full, but I want to keep eating. And this was due to a nutritional deficiency. I wasn't getting a nutrient that my body was craving, so I was telling myself to eat more, even though I wasn't ever getting the nutrients, because we crave what we continually eat. So if I was continuing to eat processed foods, I was eating the same things, but I was never getting that nourishment I needed. So we can cover all of our bases when we intentionally change up the types of foods that we're eating. And if one week we're really into broccoli, the next we can be into cauliflower. So changing our colors with every grocery shop is a really exciting way to get more vitamins and nutrients. So I have a little demonstration to show you guys. These jars represent our stomach. They hold about 4 cups of food, which is around the same size, same amount of food we eat at each setting. Well, each one of these jars also contains 400 calories. So you can see there's a lot of difference in the amount of food. So the difference is the fiber. Fiber is the indigestible material in plant foods, in whole grains, legumes, fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds. It is the scrub brush to our insides. So just like we like a clean house, we love a clean body. And when our digestive tract is running smooth, we can have so much more energy for the rest of our organs and life. Having energy and digestion on point is a game changer, and it's due to having healthy, vibrant colored foods every day and having smooth digestion as a result of it. So let me just take for example. So this is 400 okay, so all these jars are the same amount of calories, 400 calories. So this is 400 calories of raisins, this is 400 calories of grapes. You can see the complete difference in the volume. You can eat so many more raisins than grapes because raisins are so dense. You can fill up your stomach so much more than you could on something that's filled with water. So it's harder to go overboard on calories when you are eating water and fiber-rich foods. So this goes to show you that if you were trying to gain weight, let's say, then having more dense calorie of foods would be a good thing. So look at these nuts. So it would be super easy to eat 400 calories in nuts, and if your goal is weight loss, then you would have to be mindful about the amount of nuts you're eating. You don't need very many to get those good vitamins and minerals. So and we can think about if we were to grind this up into a butter, it would be even smaller. So it's so easy to go overboard on nut butters and nuts when we are eating this lifestyle. They're important, but it's easy to go overboard when you rely too much on getting most of your calories from them. We want to make most of our calories coming from the whole water-rich foods. So I don't have any broccoli or cauliflower up here, or kale or all these very water-rich foods. Those are only 100 calories per pound. So we can eat unlimited amounts of water-rich vegetables, non-starchy vegetables, compared to being way more mindful of something like this or processed oil. So this would be like butter or cheese or this is olive oil, all around the same amount. So this is 400 calories of olive oil. And this would be so easy to be eaten in a restaurant in 2 meals, and it would just sneak in there without even realizing. So it's not giving any satiation in your stomach, nor is it giving you much variation of nutrients. You're not getting a lot of, you're not getting as many nutrients as if you were to eat the whole form. So this is 400 calories of olives. So compare, they're both 400 calories. One has no fiber, and the other one's loaded with fiber. So nobody would probably eat this many olives. It's a crazy amount. So you'd be more satisfied on less because of that fiber and the water. It's so easy to cook without using olive oil too. I roast veggies all the time with just using a little veggie broth or some vinegar. Same goes for when you're sauteing vegetables. Use water, or if you're using frozen veggies, it has enough water in it that when you put it in the pan, you shouldn't need any oil right away. You can just use a little veggie broth when it starts to stick on the pan. So it's an easy way to just skim off calories that aren't super tasty or you even notice. So this is potato chips that are made in a lab, that are constructed to be at our bliss point, the perfect amount of sugar, fat, and salt. But it's also really hard for our body to regulate this and to realize when we're getting enough, because there's not much nutrients in here. There's a lot of calories, not much nutrients, and not much satiation. So we're gonna go overboard on these, versus if we're eating the whole food, the whole potatoes. So if you were to saute up onions and garlic and roast these potatoes with some mushrooms and eat it with guacamole, you'd be so satisfied. And it would be a delicious meal, but it wouldn't be as entertaining or crazy palatable as something like these chips would be, where we would just want to go crazy on them from our ancestor brain of telling us to get the most calories that we can. But we're now in a place that we don't need that. We don't want that, because we know we're going to have food coming in. We know we're going to have nourishment, so we're not trying to get as many calories as we can. So going with the whole food is so important. So let's look at something like these two. So one's oats cooked in water and the other is oats ground into a flour. So this is a kind of an example to show you about bread. And so when you're grinding something down and then mixing it with salt, sugar, and fat, it's so much easier, like the potato chips, and our body doesn't register it like it would something like this, where you're feeling full and you're getting so much nutrients out of it. When people talk about how bad carbohydrates are, it's really mixed up, because it's not complex carbohydrates that are bad for you, like beans and whole grains. It's these very processed, powdered formed, baked and made to be so delicious we can't say no to them. So going for the whole foods is always going to give us more satisfaction and really not allow us to go overboard on calories. This will be really hard to eat even. It's so much. And you go look at something like this, where you go to the movie theater and you could eat this in one sitting and just look for more. It's so delicious and has not any nutrient value, but it's just entertaining. So it's so different than something like this, a whole plate of beans that you could have and feel satisfied on. Whereas this you would eat and not feel satisfied, but just kind of have a hankering for more sugar. It's an endless loop. So when we design our meals over fiber-rich, water-rich, colorful foods, with using whole grains and beans as a side to keep us satisfied, we can go to our optimal, we can balance to our optimal weight without even trying. We're gonna be more nourished and feeling a feeling of satisfaction in our stomach without going overboard on calories. So start designing your meals over whole foods, making whole foods your go-to, making it what you crave. Remember, you crave what you continually eat. So put in good and you crave good. So thanks for tuning in, and until next time, peace.